Well, good morning, beloveds who will be watching this later online. We're so glad that you're choosing to catch us at Unity of Tempe, and we really encourage you to come and be with us in person because there's a lot you miss out on by not being in person. But if you're watching, we really invite you to leave a comment and hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. That helps us grow this channel. But peace be with you. So last week we wrapped up our playlist for the Soul series, but I have to admit it, I'm not quite ready to let go of weaving music into our messages. And there's something about lyrics that can speak straight to us at some point. So don't be surprised if a familiar line or two finds its way into today's message. And if you didn't catch last week's message, I really encourage you to watch that online, because that was, I've heard from many of you that was like a really good song to end the series with. So today, my message, this is very strange. I've got something oh, there it goes. I figured it out. Woohoo! So today in my it's happening again, and I'm just going to go away. Don't touch it. So today in my message, the sacred yes, the peaceful no, we return to our exploration of the Unity 12 powers. Now, the term 12 powers comes from Charles Fillmore, who was co-founder of Unity with his wife, Myrtle. And these powers were present in Jesus, and they are present in us also to the extent that we awaken them, and we discover how they work, and then we learn how to use them properly. And each of us are going to have our favorite powers, the ones that we resonate with more than others. And some, well, they may just prove a little bit of a challenge. Now, the power I'm going to speak about today, the power of will, hello, Will, back there, that is one of the most challenging for me to talk about. And it's not that I don't value it. It's just that compared to some of the other powers, will feels more abstract and less tangible. And I like things that I can really wrap my minds around. My minds. I've suddenly got two minds, of course. So, but it's just so much less tangible. But consider some of the other powers, for example. Some of them feel like old friends. The power of strength, for instance. I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. Okay, no, that was not the song lyric. That just popped in. But I feel the strength when I stand firm. And love. Oh, my goodness. Who doesn't love the power of love? That is all of us here. That's compassion and understanding, and it's easy to recognize. Imagination, the power of imagination, that brings creative sparks and new possibilities. And the power of understanding, well, that brings comfort and makes sense of things. The power of faith, trust that something greater is unfolding, even when we can't see it. And wisdom, well, that carries us calm, steady, intelligent voice. And zeal, one of my favorite powers, well, its energy and enthusiasm is undeniable. And release, well, that's the exhale, the letting go. And life, the power of life, pulses with vitality and spirit's movement in us. But will. What is will? Well, it's, Well, let's see what Unity Worldwide says about will. So that cleared things up. No? Yes? Well, so if you've ever found the power of will hard to grasp, you're not alone. It is confusing. But from what we saw, will shows up as a choice, a moment of decision. And sometimes that moment is subtle, asking us to discern, to align not with our preferences, but with our spiritual principles. And as I was preparing this message this week, I had a big breakthrough. Internally, I stopped calling it the power of will, and I started calling it the power of decision. And that shift for me changed everything. Because I don't know about you, but I'm someone who can second guess. I can overthink, and I can circle the same choice a dozen times. I'll admit it, sometimes I have a hard time making decisions. And the power of decisions, well, that is something I want in my life. I think, yes, I do. I do want that. Yes, I do. But something far more appealing to me than trying to understand the power of will is the power of decision. And with respect to Charles Fillmore, I sometimes wonder if he was racing Spirit to the finish line. The first few powers, well, they downloaded easily into his mind. And then a few more. And then by the time he got to number 12, not in order because he arranged these later, but maybe he was getting a little impatient. Will you just hurry up? He might have asked Spirit. Well, will I just what? Came the reply. Will, that's it. That is it. The power of will, said Charles. And so it was. So while I'll be using Unity's original name, the power of will, just know that in my heart, I'm calling it from now on the power of decision. And this shift has helped me move from trying to understand it, which takes a lot of work, to actually wanting to live it and use it in my life. Because this is my least favorite power. But now when I say the power of decision, it makes it one of my favorites. So I think part of the confusion around will is how we hear it in everyday life and everyday language. Where there's a will, there's a way. And that sounds like we're supposed to grit our teeth and just push through. Willpower, control, ego, the need to be right, the pressure to decide quickly, act boldly, and never look back are the modern associations. I had a friend who could just walk into a store and go, boom, 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 I'll have that. I hadn't even gotten the store door yet. And they'd bought like 6 pictures. Like my cousin too. She could fill up 2 shopping carts in the time I was getting out of the car. I kid you not. But these things about pushing through and everything, that's really not what the power of will is about. It's not about muscling through resistance. It is about aligning with Spirit. The power of will is our willingness to listen, to pause, to choose from a deeper place. We can even think of it as the power of God's will, the capacity to access divine insight and make decisions that reflect our highest good. It's the power that helps us change course when needed. Now, as you may know, each of the 12 powers has a corresponding color, location in the body, and disciple associated with it. So the color representing will is silver. I got little silver earrings on today for that representation. And the location of this power is the center of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, and that is our center for decision making. And the disciple representing the power of will is Matthew. Now, I don't know if you know a lot about Matthew, but before he became a disciple, he was a tax collector for the Roman government. And he was despised by his fellow Jews and seen as a traitor for helping the Romans line their coffers with dishonest and excessive taxation. So why then is Matthew, the disciple, associated with the power of will? It's not the most obvious choice at first glance. Both in Matthew's time and today, tax collectors, or as we refer to them, IRS agents, are positions that often invoke disdain. The phrase spiritual role models may not cross our minds when we think of those who collect our taxes, and apologies to any tax collectors or IRS agents working here today or watching this. But instead, we think of all the prep we have to do for April 15th, all the bureaucracy. I'm seeing a lot of nods. And how much we'll owe, or if we're lucky, how much we'll get back. And maybe we even think of that Beatles song, "Let me tell you how it will be. There's one for you, 19 for me, 'cause I'm the..." Yeah, you know it. Taxman was George Harrison's satirical jab at a system that felt rigged, where the government took so much and the rich still found ways to keep more. Sound familiar? Yeah. If you drive a car, I'll tax the street. If you try to sit, I'll tax your seat. If you get too cold, I'll tax the heat. If you take a walk, I'll tax your feet, 'cause I'm the tax man. Now, this is not far off of how many people feel today. In a time when billionaires seem to pay less tax than school teachers, the idea of a tax collector being chosen as a disciple feels a tad ironic. But Jesus saw through the label. He saw through the disdain and beyond the system. And he saw in Matthew someone who was ready to change course. And Matthew's story reminds us that no matter how topsy-turvy, how upside down things feel, we still have the power to choose differently, to follow a higher call. And he stepped away from what was familiar and profitable to say yes to something deeper. And that is the essence of will. It's the power that helps us choose consciously, courageously, when not everything is certain, when we don't know exactly where the path will lead. It is not about determination, forcing outcomes, or pushing through resistance. It's about conscious choice, spiritual alignment, and saying yes or no from a place of intuition and deep clarity. Charles Fillmore described will as the executive faculty of the mind. And I like to imagine it as the part of us that sits quietly at the head of the table, not barking orders, but listening, not waiting to speak, but fully hearing all the voices that go on inside of our head, the voices of emotion and reason and intuition and fear and hope. And then, when all the voices have been heard, with compassion, will says, let's pause for a moment. Let's go within to the center of our being and choose what most aligns with our deepest spiritual knowing and integrity. So the power of will helps us move from scattered doing to purposeful being. It's about listening for what's ours to do and what is not. Now, when the power of will is awake and active in our lives, we feel grounded in our decisions, even the hard ones. And grounded means present. It means connected. It means we're not floating in indecision or spiraling in doubt. We're rooted in something deeper than impulse or pressure. We're anchored in clarity. When the power of will is active in us, we can say yes without grasping because we're not chasing approval. We can say no without guilt because we're not abandoning ourselves. When will is awake, we don't need to control every step. We respond rather than react. And we act from alignment rather than anxiety. But when the power of will is asleep or hijacked in our lives by ego, we feel scattered. We chase approval. We say yes to things that drain us and no to things that would nourish us. We lose our center. We are more about having to do and be something or someone because deep down, we still feel unworthy. So we make and chase things based on our ego's need. So how do we activate the power of will? We start by listening, by meditating, by praying. And we may have things that we think we want. I really, really, really want this. But perhaps those aren't the things that are for our best or that Spirit wants for us. So we start by getting quiet, by asking, what is mine to do? What is mine to release? By trusting that the answers will come. Not always quickly, but in the perfect time. And we develop willingness through becoming more consciously aware of our spiritual path. No matter how well we think we understand spiritual laws, if we're not willing to use them, they're useless. If, for example, we want more abundance in our life, we practice, and hopefully we all do anyway, the law of tithing in our life, and that invites more abundance into our life. We practice saying yes to what aligns with our values, our truth, our spiritual path, and we practice saying no to what pulls us away from that path. Not from fear, not from pressure, and not from ego, but from that still small voice within. And so to help us embody this power of will, this power of decision more deeply, we're going to close with a guided meditation. So I invite you to get comfortable, relax, get comfortable now. And so begin by settling into stillness. Feel your breath as it gently moves in and out. And with each breath, let your mind quiet, your heart open, and your body rest. That's right, you're doing perfectly, relaxing beautifully. Now imagine a path before you, bathed in golden light. It winds gently through a serene forest where every leaf glows with quiet wisdom. As you move deeper into the forest, the light begins to shift. Soft beams filtering through the trees, illuminating the way forward. You sense a presence ahead. This presence is not separate from you. It is deeply familiar, warm, radiant, loving. This is the divine presence. It doesn't speak in words, but in knowing. You pause. The air is clear. The light is golden. And in this sacred moment, something awakens within you. A sacred power, a power that listens, a power that responds with ease and clarity, a power that decides. This is the power of will, the power of choice and decision. The divine presence encourages you to step forward, and immediately you feel a change within you. Decisions no longer feel heavy. Instead, you know that you are free. Free to make decisions that align with your highest and best. The divine presence walks with you as the golden light subsides, and the path gently leads you back towards the now, back toward the life that awaits your sacred choosing. And so you begin to come back, knowing that something within you has changed. And you begin to notice your body again and feel the support beneath you. You feel the power within you, and you let your awareness return gently to this space. And you let your eyes open. Take a deep breath. You are ready to make decisive choices and decisions that align with your highest and best good. And so it is. Yes. Yes. So who likes that idea of the power of decision? Anyone? Who loves the power of will? It's like their favorite power. Oh, yeah, of course, Will says he loves the power of will. And Sharon says that. That is just typical and wonderful. And of course you have to love the power of will, because we all love the power of will. Meyer. We love you, Will and Sharon. But anyways, it helped me, so I hope it helps you. So now we get to saying together, I am a beloved child of God, here to be an ambassador of good. Yes, we are. And it is time for our financial blessings. So I invite you to take your blessing to your heart. And we will say together, I am a joyful sharer of my good. I remember that as I give, I receive, and that God is my source. And if you are giving online, there is our PayPal, and we prefer Zelle, but if you only have PayPal, we accept absolutely that too. So thank you. Thank you, Jesse and Judy. Divine Spirit, we are so grateful for these gifts. We know that we would not survive as Unity of Tempe without the gifts from our community. That is what helps us stay afloat and helps us have these gatherings, these services, and we know that even when people travel, that they can still support Unity of Tempe. And so we are so grateful for those who are here today, those who are traveling, those who are watching online. Thank you, Spirit. And thank you, Jesse and Judy. We bless the giver and the receiver and the stewardship of its use. And so it is. So it is. Thank you, beloveds. So we want you to know that you are so very loved, and I invite you to share the gift of Unity of Tempe and invite someone who could use a little light. And be with us next week for more support and inspiration, spiritual support. So we're going to pray our prayer that we've been praying together. Spirit, I am present. I do not ignore the ache of this world, but I also do not collapse. I acknowledge pain without losing sight of hope. I receive what I need to know, and I release what I cannot carry alone. If there is wisdom to glean, I accept it. If there is action to take, I am willing. If today asks only for compassion, I give it freely to myself and others. In a confusing world, I choose to stay awake, anchored in spirit, guided by love. And we pray for peace in the world right now as well. There's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, so we affirm peace in the world as well. And let us join together in the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. All is well, and we are grateful. Beloveds online, we hope you have a peace-filled week, and I hope that and affirm that any decisions that you have to make come from a place of deep inner clarity and divine knowing in alignment with your highest and best. Namaste.